Hi, I'm Dawn Montefusco, and this is Write Your True Story: How to Use Your Story to Grow Your Business, Inspire Millions, and Leave a Legacy. And today I have the wonderful and vibrant Lesley Nardini. She's a highly sought after motivational speaker, corporate keynote speaker, and trainer. And she speaks in front of tens of thousands of people. And I don't know how she does it, but she does it without a hitch. Hi, Lesley.
Hey, Dawn, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for being on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Cool. So tell us more about what you do and any projects you're working on.
Absolutely. So I am a professional speaker, and it's something I've been working on and doing in various ways, shapes, and forms for more than 25 years. And more as a hobby in the beginning, and then I realized how much I loved it and having this opportunity to impact other people's lives in a really positive way. Really, 5 years ago, I started focusing on making this my main profession instead of a part-time fun thing that I do. I've since written now 3 books, 2 of them Amazon best-selling books, and also working with a seminar company has afforded me the opportunity to travel around the world.
Wow.
And speak to thousands of people and on various topics. And I'm just continuing to do that and always learning too. I think that's important. That's one of my messages, is always learning and stretching and finding ways to make what I do even better for people.
That's awesome. You know, you really do. You make people feel comfortable almost immediately. I've been watching your videos, and you say, that there's that cliche of you only get one chance to make a first impression.
Yeah,
But it is true.
it's true.
And you, in your teaching, in that little bit, I noticed you also go on to talk about how the internal world, your thoughts, actually help, like even things you're not saying, all those nonverbal cues and your spirit and your energy are also making an impression.
Right.
So have you practiced that in terms of being authentic and vulnerable about your story, who you are, in order to attract the right people, or in order to even help and make people comfortable? How does that work with authenticity and vulnerability and making a good first impression?
Yeah, right. So, how do you get there? I mean, part of it is just a lot of work, working on myself. And I think that what I have learned in the process is that when I am my truest, most authentic self, and vulnerable too, that connects with people. That, when people see who you truly are, it does, I think it sends out a different energy in the world. And we do connect in ways that we don't see. Is the way we're thinking and just the thoughts we put out and the energy that we put out. And I don't specifically say to myself, okay, I'm going to go into this situation and do my best to make people feel comfortable. I'm just in my true authentic self is what you get with me. And I think people can feel that. I really do. And that puts people at ease. And there are no games being played and no, like, how can I, make a connection with them? I just be myself. And underneath that, I really do love people. I people and care about people. And that's really what drives what I do as well. Just having compassion for people and authentically, genuinely wanting to do whatever I can to help make people's lives better.
That's beautiful, actually. When you were writing your books, did you have how much of your personal story did you put in the books, like knowing that they're going to help your business?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I will say my very first book that I did, and it's now been 2 years, so not that long ago. But when I did it, I was still kind of figuring things out and figuring my real message to be. I think from that point too, I was like, I don't know if I want to tell my true story, because it's kind of scary actually to tell like all the warts and the highs and the lows and the good and the bad. And so my first book is about customer service, which is professionally what I've been doing my whole entire life. So let's talk about some of my ups and downs professionally in there, but I don't really dig into the real nitty gritty story. There's some good information in there and just lots of tools that I've learned along the way to be successful professionally and personally, and how to grow your business by providing excellent customer service. So that is definitely one of the things that I talk about. And then underneath that is, I believe that what really makes great customer service and what attracts people in and keeps them coming to you is great communication skills and great people skills. Those are like two pillars of great customer service. So I do talk about those things and some of the things I've been through in the process to be successful professionally. And then the second book I actually co-authored with several other powerful women. And that is my actual authentic story that I've just been crafting over the last couple of years. How do I tell that story? How do I condense it? Right?
Yeah.
How do I, 40 something years of experiences into a succinct story that does connect people in a real authentic way.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the second book, unfortunately, I didn't get to look at that one with the other women and their stories. That sounds like there was a place in there to really want to connect and build trust. I feel like story really is just the biggest connector for trust. Mm-hmm. When it's true, like when it's, you're not totally manipulating the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Just remember, this is the book.
Yay! Look at you. That was so fun. Rock. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Natasha Deswalt put this together. And there are several, anyway, a few really powerful, they're all.
I love it. I love the cover.
Well-known and that kind of thing. But it's just us telling our authentic stories of, what got us to where we are. And
yeah,
I'll have a story.
What is it about that, though? I think it's so amazing how people like working with clients. I have them write memoirs and I have them write true stories about their books. But when I can say, go look at Lesley, go look at this book. There's this idea. I think you can just lift people up and inspire them to suddenly realize that their story actually matters, and that we're sharing in almost a similar story of the struggles to get where we want to go. Mm-hmm. What is it about that just it's like glue? It binds us as a tribe. You find the right people, you find the right clients. All of a sudden, things open up, and it's just a matter of, as simple as it sounds, of being yourself, right?
Yeah.
Why are we? As a speaker, you must have you speak for a lot of people, have an idea of, you must see the audience shift when you get real.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can feel it for sure.
Was that scary at first? I must.
Oh my God. Yes. So what's funny is this seminar company that I've been working with for a few years now, one of the topics, and actually the main topic that I teach or speak on with them is, this is going to sound weird, but it's Microsoft Excel. I say it sounds weird because I'm not a techie person. Lane or passion, but it's something that they needed instructors for that. And I said, oh, sure, I'll do that. And develop a new skill for myself. And so I thought to myself, if I can make Microsoft Excel inspirational and motivational, then I can do anything as a speaker.
I love you. Yeah.
Sure enough, I figured out a way to do that. And so people love my Microsoft Excel classes, seminars. And so just though I thought I have to keep it Excel, just keep it down that lane. Mm-hmm. That's what people are there for. And this last summer, I decided to add my authentic story into a Microsoft Excel seminar.
Wow.
Really risky. And I thought, they don't want to hear this. They're just here for Excel, and I'm exposing myself, and I'm just going to go for it and see what happens. And I am been blown away by the things that people come up to me afterwards. I had a man in his 60s come up to me after the seminar, and he says, I just have to say, your story has inspired me so much. I'm going through some really difficult things right now, and just to hear you say what you said has inspired me so much to improve myself. And so that's
wow.
what I do. And I think there's something about that is our humanity. We all are struggling with something. Yeah. And then see somebody who's seems to be doing well, but you hear what they've gone through to get there. Mm-hmm. That's really where the inspiration comes from.
Yes. I think that's fantastic. I was a teacher for years, and I used to say that, I was a student for years.
Yeah.
And I used to, people would say, "Oh, you love your math class? You hate your math class." And I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but the teacher just tells the best stories, and
Yeah.
I was too young to really get it then. But I love that you have warmed my heart by saying that you've made Microsoft Excel, not only accessible, but that people are feeling connected. Because when I say how to use your story to grow your business, everything is a business. And
Mm-hmm.
business is very creative. There's
Mm-hmm.
but there's also the details, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh, what else? Is there a story that you want to tell us about a great time on stage where, again, that humanity was, you're at a corporate maybe event, but you feel that you had an experience that really shows the trust that you were able to build?
Yeah, let me think, because there's a few that come to mind. Gosh, I was doing a seminar at a university, Cal Poly Pomona, here in Los Angeles, and so I was talking about developing emotional intelligence. Actually, again, people skills, right?
Yeah.
One of the exercises that I do, that's my programs, unless it's like a short 20-minute keynote, I do some little thing to get people involved. That's really, really important. So they're engaged and they feel connected. And
Totally.
this was a longer day, so I could do several things. And so one of the tools and techniques that I take people through is how to find the good in our problems.
Wow.
A little nutshell, yeah. So I have people identify a problem that they're currently, facing, and some relief or help on, and then we go through this process. So I did this in that particular, and again, how I've used this and some of the struggles that I've been through. And in the process, this woman, she stood up and she was talking about how her mother had passed away. After her mother passed away, they sold her 3 houses, and that all of the belongings from the 3 houses were moved into her house. And she was literally buried alive from these things, and she couldn't emotionally get rid of them. So
Yeah.
by going through this simple exercise, she was able to find that relief. And in looking at this, that gave her, like she said, for the first time in 4 years, I feel like I can breathe. Just in like a 5-minute exercise that we did.
Wow.
And then she followed up with me. Now that was one thing. I said, that's so great in the moment. What's going to happen afterwards? 6 weeks later, she followed up with me and said she'd gotten through half of her things and sold them off and paid off credit cards, was saving for a trip to Hawaii with her husband. And because she said her marriage had been suffering. And so right? And she did, I asked her permission to retell her story.
Yeah.
For that inspiration. And so I think if I walked up, so going back to my story, how does it connect, right? If I just walked up and I said, I'm the speaker and I this and I that, and people go, oh, she's got it together. It's intimidating and they don't feel like they can open up.
Yeah.
But by peeling that part of me away and saying, oh, there's a visitor here. Oh, that's what I'm doing. I just had a little visitor. Go away. So by peeling.
Hold on, you can pause for a second because I can edit that out if you want.
Okay.
And we just say you connected to your story, and that's where you were at. You were like, how does this connect to my story?
Okay. So how does that connect to my story? By first starting the seminar by telling my authentic story, letting people see that I'm human and I've been through struggles. My life was really off track. And then I've used these certain tools and techniques and just strengthening myself to overcome those things. And like I help tell people, it's like we're adding tools to your toolbox of how to deal with life. And so then the point being that people can relate to the fact that, I've been there, understand what you're going through.
Yes, totally. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel much less alone and connected when I hear or read a story about someone, what they've gone through or what they're doing in their business, in their personal lives, And remember in the day where we weren't allowed to do that? Remember, I don't know, like when I grew up in New York 30 years ago, I'm 48, you weren't really allowed to be yourself in business. It was almost frowned upon,
Right.
And I think, do you think it's the globalization? It's the internet. It's like, we're so connected now that someone had said our bullshit meter is real high. We can
Right.
we can tell almost immediately, energetically. So for people out there who, really, who are scared. Okay, we've got people out there who are scared. They are not bringing in the clients or attracting the clients, and we know that it's because they're being a little too general, a little too, I don't know, just a little too mechanical. And they're
Mm-hmm.
afraid to bring out their story. What's too much and what's not enough? You might have a perspective for sure that most of my speakers on the show don't have, in terms of there's the transparency, authenticity, and vulnerability that we want, and then you hear these rumors about, but not too much. So I feel like that's where people get caught up in that fear. So
Yeah.
I'm curious, is there a way to answer that question?
Like exposing too much of myself.
What's too much vulnerability and what's not enough when you're trying to connect with your story?
Yeah, and that's a great question, because that's, like I said, I've been working on my story, crafting it, if you will, in a way that's effective, so that it's just telling the truth, on and on and on and on and on. So I picked, like a couple things, right, that most of us deal with, like my dad's death. I was 21 years old, and he was 52 and died suddenly. And he was my bright light as well. And so that was a significant event in my life. And so most of my story revolves around that and how it impacted me, and the sort of the dark place I went to afterwards, and making bad choices, and then the things that helped me come out of that.
Yeah.
Learned in the process. And so I think part of it is picking one theme, and then learning how to tell that story in a way that people can relate to it. And it just takes time. It's like, I think in having somebody to help you with that. I mean, I had several coaches that helped me to. The technical part of crafting the story is important, like anything.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed. 100%.
Yeah. And then once you get the technical part of it down, and then you practice it, and then you to the point where it's your real story, and that it's coming from within instead of just this rote. And I have to say, last summer was when I really first started telling my authentic story. I've been doing this a long time, right? And so before that, with Excel, I was telling some lame and actually partly made up. It was mostly true, but I threw in some things for dramatic effect. But it really was. It was like, but it was still just lame about working at a bank and getting in trouble because I was getting behind it. It was just it was lame. And but I didn't. It's like I got to come up with something, and people can see through that. People can see through that. So
no, I love that you just said that. That was very sweet. That because I think that's exactly what everyone goes through as they get to the oh, that's the thing. Whoa, I didn't realize it was A, so obvious, and B, intense. Like I want to talk about this, but then I love that you brought up there's a technical aspect and a particular way to tell a story that's important for your audience. Specifically, not just to babble, but also, I mean, when you think about speaking and TED Talks and all that, they rehearse forever so that they sound natural. But it's also, I think, tell me if I'm wrong, that the audience can really understand the story clearly, right?
Yeah. And one of the things when I'm helping other people do this too, I say, think of this like if you were a dancer or musician or whatever, that's a skill, right? Speaking is a skill. There's a skill and craft to it, to do it effectively in a way that connects with people and as many people as possible when you're standing on a stage, right? So if you were going to learn how to dance, you have to get the technical part of, shuffle, whatever the terminology. Yes, long ago, I forgot the terminology, but right. Pas de bourrée. You have to learn the pas de bourrée, the technique, the technical part. And then once you have that down so that that's automatic,
right?
You put your passion and your excitement and your, the telling the story through dance, right?
Totally.
So that way, you have to get the technical aspect of telling your story down, delivering it in a way that connects with people. So you're structuring your sentences a certain way. There are certain influence words in your story and in your sentences that make a difference on how it connects with people or not. And so then you get the technique down, and then once that's like automatic, sort of like ingrained, then you can let go of that and then be your true self and let your emotions flow even. Some people are afraid to cry on stage.
Yeah.
I sometimes get emotional telling my story that I've told 100 times or 1,000 times, which is great. People love it.
I love that too. One of when the summit is called, the online series that I'm doing right here is called Write Your True Story. But I'm very specific in some of the marketing. It's not just about writing a book. It's, websites, scripts, online social media. I think that when we slow down in any aspect and actually understand what story we're telling, kind of write it up. And then I love what you said about getting some help and some coaching, because I have a little writers group. And when I did that, there was stuff I was like, oh, I shouldn't say that. They're like, that's the thing. And I'm like, really? And so I agree with you that getting feedback is really important, and structuring it is really important. And it doesn't make it fake. It actually allows you to be more authentic in the end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I agree with you too on the coaching or coaching, whether it's a coach or just, an accountability group or master or something. Having feedback from other people is really, really important. Yeah. The way I was convinced of that is to look at professional athletes and people like Michael Jordan or, LeBron James or whoever's the top of the game right now. They're the best of the best, the best of the best. And they're coaches. They figure it out on their own, right? So if you want to be the best, the series I found that the people who are the most successful in business and any business are those who seek out those who are already successful and learn from them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would never be anywhere close to where I am without mentors, coaches.
Yeah.
It's almost bizarre that in this country, and this goes back to the story thing too, we have this weird idea that's maybe it's the old way of thinking and we're evolving out of it, but that we have to do things alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the history of that really. Like somehow we're supposed to know everything and do it ourselves and excel and be perfect. And when you study the greats, that's not how they did it. They didn't. Yeah. So thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah. No, it's true. I think maybe it is. I don't even know what's behind that, but I agree with you. I know we can sit here and guess. I have no idea what. Yeah.
So the fun question: would you be where you are today if you decided not to tell your true stories?
That's a great question. I've never thought about it in that way, but I would probably have to say no. That getting real and authentic is what connects with people. Mm-hmm. Like the magic key. And I've, worked on the craft part and the technique part. And then by finally pulling that piece in, I was doing it in little bits, but this last year it's really come together for me in a powerful way. Oh. And, like I said, doing it initially was scary. It was scary. And so then, sometimes people say, well, how do you deal with that fear? That's a big part of my message, actually. Oh. Our fears and insecurities. And part of it is just stepping into it. I'm just going to do it. I told a couple people who are, powerful support people. And I said, I'm doing this. I'm just going to, let you know, because I might, I'll probably need some help. And if it goes badly, And so again, having that support, and I did it. And when I realized how people responded, wow, that gives you courage too.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Lesley, you're such a pleasure.
Oh, you too, Dawn.
Truly, truly. You have a free gift on your website that I'm going to put on this page.
Yeah, I do. And so I have actually a couple of things I just put on there. I send people more than what I promise all the time. So I have some things in there about how to deliver exceptional customer service, because that's one of my expertise areas. And so all of us in business, that happy customers are the lifeblood of our business. So how to attract them, how to add those extra little things to set you apart from everybody else. Because there's a lot of competition out there, right?
Totally.
So how do we capture people's attention and then make sure they're happy once they are part of our tribe? Mm-hmm. That's one of the things I have, is how to add that extra touch. And then I throw in a whole bunch of other fun extra things for people to do. So, yeah.
Thanks, Lesley. It's been really great having you on the show.
Thanks, Dawn. It's been a pleasure to be with you, and I really appreciate you inviting me to be part of your summit.
Yes, yes. Well, I hope to see you soon. Maybe you'll be in Portland or I'll be flying around near you someday.
I'm sure we'll see each other soon.
Okay. Have
All
a
right.
good one. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye.